The number of hate crimes against the LGBT community being reported to the West Police Forces has more than doubled in the past 5 years. An investigation by the BBC's Inside Out West has found there have been hundreds more recorded incidents.
Harriet Robinson's been talking to people who've been targeted and are now living in fear.
Pride is a huge celebration for the LGBT community, and thousands of people in the West support it every year. But in spite of this, hate crime still exists.
This must be the window that the brick came through.
Yeah.
Madeline's son is being targeted.
My husband had his feet on the coffee table.
Really?
He was covered in glass.
Ah.
My son was sat other end of the room. There was glass all over the sofa there. It was just everywhere.
It's really scary.
It is, yeah. Then we had the most recent letter, which is a homophobic death threat. It had dirty and the horrible C word on the front. And inside it is basically, gay boy, what you do is grim. There's only one place for people like you, and that's dead. You literally do not feel safe in your own home.
There's now been an arrest over that letter.
I'm just looking through some of the news reports from the past 12 months or so, and there are LGBT hate crimes reported all over the West Country. I've seen them in Watchet, in Somerset, in Cheltenham, in Gloucestershire, all over Bristol as well.
So I sent freedom of information requests to our local police forces. They told me hate crimes have more than doubled over 5 years, from 208 in 2013 to 506 by the end of 2018. Joanna Jenkins supports victims.
These days, I have a lot more referrals. Now, whether this is because people are reporting more or if there's more, I really don't know. All I do know is that the cases that I'm working on at the moment are far more aggressive than the ones that I had 2 years ago.
Madeline's son is too traumatised to speak about what's been happening to him.
It's like I've gone back to when he was little and now he's in his 20s. It's hard. And I think sometimes he turns around and says, "Mum, don't worry." But Mum does worry.
And that's why the LGBT community are calling for more safe spaces, free from discrimination. Harriet Robinson, BBC Points West.
Well, Bristol City Panthers calls itself an LGBT-friendly football club. It aims to offer safe space for players to be themselves. And Pete Davey and Alex Conut are from the club and are obviously here with us now. First of all, it's 2019. I can't even believe that this is something that's such headline news. Can you?
No, it's sad that even in progressive cities like Bristol, we have issues with transphobia, homophobia. We have people in our city who do not feel safe.
And of course, the report today is saying that it's increasing. Now, one of those things could be because people feel more confident about reporting it. So I think sometimes it's best to go on personal experience. Do you feel that there's been an increase?
Certainly, my experience since living here has been I've been spat at, I've been called names when I've been to football games. I've heard homophobic insults, and friends of mine, queer friends of mine, trans friends of mine have experienced much worse. They have experienced violence on the streets, going home from nightclubs, things like that.
What about you, Alex?
So I've been with my partner for 3 years, and the first time that we ever experienced something ourselves was about a year ago. So it certainly feels to me like it's more acceptable these days to call out people on the street or to make rude gestures or look at people horribly.
Maybe that's it. Maybe you've just hit the nail on the head there, actually. It's become more acceptable. Do you think there's something in that? Like it used to be, people used to say things almost, not that they were right, but behind closed doors, and now it's like, well, we've all got the right to say what we want.
I don't think there's any coincidence between the fact that public discourse and political discourse particularly has changed around the language that we use to describe people as different, be it their sexual orientation or their religion or their race. And certainly when we have politicians talking about letterboxes or people arguing that we shouldn't even teach about LGBT inclusive education in schools, never mind sex relationship education. It certainly changes how people feel that they can talk to others on the street.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. The Bristol City Panthers, this is a safe space, isn't it? This is somewhere that's very inclusive. Do you think this is somewhere that's really needed?
I do, because for many of us, what we've experienced throughout our life is exclusion from different environments, whether that be PE lessons at schools, whether it be sports clubs, and part of that is related to a sort of culture of toxic masculinity. For other people, it's taken time for them to realise who they are comfortable being, be that in terms of their gender identity or their sexuality. And having those environments where people can go, they know they can be themselves and they can share experiences with other people, that is really important.
You don't feel that that takes you further out of society as well, Alex?
I think you can argue that it takes you further out of society, but I suppose we all go to work, we all have social lives outside of the Panthers, so we're fully part of society in other ways. I think there'll always be a space where you need to be amongst people like yourself who might have been through that experience and can understand and can empathise in a way that others might not be able to. But we play football against teams that aren't in LGBT leagues all the time, so it's not like we're hiding away in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting to chat to you, and I'm sorry that it's off the back of, bad reports, but let's hope maybe we can chat about something more positive in the future. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.